Hey guys, welcome to Living Satisfied. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Ellie, and today we're going to be talking about postpartum weight loss and eating principles that I follow. Now, before we begin, I want to make it very, very clear that your worth is not defined by a number on a scale. Period. Your worth is defined by your inner belief about yourself and your creator, whether you believe in God or whatever you happen to believe in. I personally believe that God made my body and that I am beautiful just the way that I am. Now, should you strive to be healthy and strong? Yes, of course. But we also have to be healthy in our minds, not only just our bodies. And that means that loving ourselves no matter what size we are and making sure that we are healthy in our minds so that we can be healthy in our bodies as well. Now, losing weight postpartum can be so tricky. There is so many different factors, and your hormones throughout pregnancy don't just magically go back to the way that they were beforehand. Some women have a pretty easy time regulating their hormones back, but a lot of us don't. A lot of us end up with autoimmune issues or thyroid issues. You have gut imbalances, your digestion's all messed up, and all sorts of things contribute to not being able to lose weight postpartum. So how did weight loss happen for me? Now, I have 2 kids, and I went back to a healthy weight for my personal size after both kids around the 15-month mark postpartum. 15 months postpartum, not 6 months. This isn't a bounce back situation. We want to take our body slow and make sure that we are making lifestyle changes so that we can gain our health. Now, I didn't gain excess weight during my pregnancies. I gained 30 pounds and 15 pounds respectively. The 15 pounds was less than ideal. I really was trying to gain more than that, but I had medical issues that caused me to not be able to gain weight, which is not a good thing. I wanted to gain the weight. But with both of my pregnancies, I actually had gestational diabetes. And yes, I'm a nutritional therapist and I had gestational diabetes because hormones are hormones, and sometimes there's things that happen that are out of our control, and that's okay. But during pregnancy, I made sure to follow these eating principles that I am about to talk about, and they really helped me gain a good amount of weight, and they helped my body maintain a healthy state throughout my pregnancy. I also worked with a registered dietitian who specializes in diabetes because I was trying really hard not to be put on insulin. Now, with my second pregnancy, I did end up on insulin. Hence, the only 15-pound weight gain is because my body was having a really, really hard time regulating all of the hormones. And so I ended up having to have insulin at the very end, despite working really, really hard on my. Now, postpartum, I followed these eating principles as well. And I do believe that eating during pregnancy and then your postpartum really are related. And that if you follow these eating principles, it really does help the weight loss process. Now, I will add that after both of my pregnancies, I maintained about 5 to 7 pounds postpartum until I was done breastfeeding. Breastfeeding for a lot of women can help you lose weight, and I do believe that that was the case for me, but I also held on to about 5 to 7 pounds until I was done breastfeeding. And when I was done breastfeeding, I lost the weight pretty quickly. And I find that this is true for quite a few women. I've heard quite a few women talk about the same thing. Their bodies just hold on to a little bit extra weight because you're nourishing another human and your body needs to hold on to a little bit extra weight. Now, on top of the eating principles that I'm about to talk about, I also really worked hard to balance my digestion. After both of my kids, my gut was so mad at me. After my son, I had a peptic ulcer. After my daughter, I ended up having like gallbladder pains and things like that. So I worked really hard to add supplements and different dietary guidelines to help me get through those things. With the peptic ulcer, I juiced cabbage. I did a lot of juicing and that kind of thing, and that really helped my peptic ulcer and the H. pylori to reduce and for me to have a healthy gut again. And after my daughter with the gallbladder issues, I did a lot of apple cider vinegar and hot lemon water, and that really helped reduce that pain. And I honestly haven't had gallbladder pain in probably a few months, which is great. Now, what are these eating principles? I'm not gonna go through everything that I believe in, but my principles are based off of a gentleman named Weston A. Price. Now, I know that there are so many different diets and things to go off of, but Weston A. Price is someone who I really love because you're not just excluding everything. You're not saying, oh, don't eat legumes, don't eat animal protein, don't eat dairy. Like, you're eating these items, but in a way that is healthy, in a way that's gonna nourish you, in a way that is nutrient dense. So Weston A. Price was a dentist who traveled the world studying different cultures and their dietary lifestyles and how their dietary lifestyles impacted their teeth. And he found that these dietary lifestyles and these principles that I'm about to talk about were the keys to a healthy lifestyle. And obviously there's, you know, someone in Alaska is gonna eat different than someone in the tropics, but there's still common dietary guidelines that they followed. So first things first is that they limited that, First things first is that they did not eat processed food and sugar. Now, this is something that's really hard to do in America and just the world these days. Processed food is in everything. It's everywhere you are. You see it every day. You probably eat it every day. But by limiting our processed foods and sugars, this is a really, really great start. So eating more home-cooked meals. I don't eat out very often. I'm personally allergic to MSG. I can't eat at fast food restaurants anyways. And so these are things that I have to work hard on to eat right and not eat processed foods. There's of course things that I do eat, things that I splurge on. I mean, let's be honest, Reese cups and Papa John's pizza, they're just delicious in my mind. And so it just is what it is. But I try to really hard to reduce these processed foods and sugars in my diet. The next is eating animal protein and high quality, organic, pastured animal protein. If you eat a healthy animal, you're gonna have healthy benefits coming out of it. If you eat industrial animals, it's not gonna be as healthy in the end. And I also will be eating things like broths and utilizing the whole animal. And so eating things like a chicken thigh that has the skin on, bone in, is gonna have more and different nutrients than just eating a plain chicken breast that doesn't have anything on it. Now, Weston A. Price also found that these people use the whole animal in general. They use the liver, they use the heart, they use the blood, they use all of these things. They use the bones to make broths. And these are principles that I try to add in, minus the blood, because that's, I just can't go there. I just can't go there. But I do make homemade broths and things like that to help increase the nutrients, especially when I am not feeling very good. Next is full fat dairy, making sure that, you know, if we are intaking milk and things like that, we're drinking full fat milk that is a good quality organic item from a good source. We also eat lots and lots of butter in our household. I find that butter is a really great thing to add to my food that adds the fat content along with different vitamins that will keep us fuller longer, and also provides the items that I wouldn't necessarily get with just eating a vegetable or like olive oil and things like that. The thing that Weston A. Price found was that when they ate grains like flour and nuts and seeds and things like that, they soaked them, sprouted them, and fermented these items to make sure that they are easily digestible. And we find that with our gluten intolerances these days. One of the reasons why we're gluten intolerant these days is because the food is just so overly processed that we can't digest it. We've stripped out all the nutrients. That's why you see in breads that they're fortified with these ingredients, because they've been stripped out. And so we want to eat foods that are real and whole so that they're not stripped out and we get those nutrients. A great way to do that is sourdough bread. You can have a traditional sourdough. That's what we have personally in our house. We don't do it every single week. There's times that we do it more than others, but that is something that we really enjoy doing, and it provides us with a better, easier digestible bread. If we can't buy it, if we can't make it, sometimes we will buy it. I know Trader Joe's has some sourdough breads that are made more traditionally. Obviously, they are still processed in a facility and it's better to make it at home, but I do find that that's a good supplement. Along those same lines, something that's really great to do is to soak your nuts and then toast them in the oven so that they get crispy again. But by soaking your nuts, you're reducing the anti-nutrients that makes it hard to digest. So if you're someone who can't really digest nuts very well, or you find that it comes out in your stools, this is a really great way to enjoy nuts, but also be able to easily digest them. So I will put some recipes and links down below of places that you can find ways of doing this. Along the same lines are beans. Beans for a lot of people cause gas and bloating. And so you can soak your dry beans, let them sprout. Basically that means that they start cracking open and things like that. Rinse them a few times and then you can cook them, and then you can digest the beans a little bit better, at least for most people. So these are some of the dietary principles that I personally try to live by. They're simple, they provide all of the nutrients that you need. It's a wide variety. You're not limiting yourself like diets that are like keto or paleo or vegan or plant-based. You're obtaining these nutrients, but in ways that are easily digestible for your body, and obtaining all the nutrients that you need, because you need these nutrients. You need animal protein. There's a reason why humans are eating animals in the first place. You just have to do it the correct way. When it all comes down to it, the eating principles that I live by are just getting back to basics, just eating real whole food that's nutrient dense, making sure that my meals I'm obtaining the nutrients that I need to. Now, am I perfect? No. Do I eat like this every day? No. But I try really hard to do these things so that it becomes more natural to me. I know that how I eat right now is very different than how a lot of other people eat, because I've worked for years eating and practicing these principles. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you learned a little bit something. Please look in the description below for all of the links and different information that I will have below. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.